It is perhaps the most mysterious and powerful spell in the wizarding world. Magic so powerful and rare that only the most skilled witches and wizards can use it. But most of all, this spell reflects the soul of each person and is a symbol of the most powerful force in Harry Potter, love. Today, we tell the story of the Patronus and answer some of the most asked questions about them, like listing all the Patronuses we know, what they mean, the secret meaning behind Snape's Patronus, and so much more. Just want to say a quick welcome to the world of stories. We are on a mission to tell the world's best stories, where we cover the world of Harry Potter and so much more. So as always, thank you so much for watching, liking, and subscribing, and enjoy the video. The Patronus Charm is first mentioned in Book 3, The Prisoner of Azkaban by Professor Lupin. Throughout the school year, Harry had been having particular trouble with some of the worst monsters in the wizarding world, Dementors. Dementors are the guardians of the wizard prison Azkaban, and they are probably the most ominous and terrible monsters ever mentioned in the books because they drain all of the hope and happiness out of those near them, feeding on their despair. And if they get the chance, they will administer their terrible kiss, where they suck the soul out of a person's mouth. All of the monsters and magical beasts in Harry Potter, like basilisks, phoenixes, and dragons, are mentioned in folklore and mythology, but Dementors are the only ones that were entirely invented by the author. Dementors are based on J.K. Rowling's experience with depression and despair, because the author spent years in deep depression, feeling abandoned and hopeless. The Dementors reflect this feeling, gliding along invisible to muggles, sucking all of the hope, happiness, and joy of those around him. Harry had been fainting every time he came near them, and Malfoy and the Slytherins had been beside themselves at Harry's perceived weakness. Harry had even fainted in his Quidditch match against Hufflepuff, captained by Cedric Diggory, which lost him the match and broke his broomstick, his faithful Nimbus 2000. Harry needed help, so he asked Professor Lupin, "Why did they affect me like that? There's nothing to do with weakness," said Professor Lupin sharply, as though he had read Harry's mind. "The Dementors affect you worse than the others because there are horrors in your past that the others don't have. Dementors are among the foulest creatures that walk this earth. They infest the darkest, filthiest places. They glory in decay and despair. They drain peace, hope, and happiness out of the air around them. Get too near a Dementor, and every good feeling, every happy memory will be sucked out of you. You'll be left with nothing but the worst experiences of your life. And the worst that has happened to you, Harry, is enough to make anyone fall off their broom. You have nothing to feel ashamed of. When they get near me, I can hear Voldemort murdering my mom." The Dementors force their victims to relive their worst memories, and Harry had been reliving the moment of his parents' death every time he went near one. And so, in an effort to win the Quidditch Cup and overcome fear, Lupin agreed to help Harry fight the Dementors. In the books, the only thing that works against them is the Patronus Charm, an extremely advanced and difficult spell most wizards can't do. To cast it successfully, the user must think with all of his might on his happiest memories and shout Expecto Patronum. Expecto Patronum is Latin for "I await my protector," because when the spell is successful, it conjures a silver animal which protects the user from Dementors. The animal is bright silver, which is made of the mist originated from powerful, cheerful thoughts that the Dementors cannot beat. Practicing on a boggart, a monster that transforms itself into what the opponent most fears, which happens to be a Dementor in Harry's case, he would try time and time again to conjure a Patronus without success, each time fainting and reliving his parents' deaths. Each time he fainted, Harry would remember more of the memory. At first, he would only hear his mom pleading with Voldemort to spare Harry and kill her instead. But later, he heard his father telling his mother to run and take Harry with her while he held Voldemort off. Harry's problem was that part of him wanted to hear his parents again, but also because he wasn't thinking of happy enough memories. At first, he thought of his first broom ride, then when Gryffindor won the House Cup. But the one that saw some success was when Harry found out that he was a wizard and he would be leaving the Dursleys. With this, Harry is able to produce silver vapor, enough to hold the Dementor off, but not defeat him. He would continue to train with Lupin, but seeing little to no success, until his Quidditch match against Ravenclaw. where Malfoy and the Slytherin Quidditch team tried to sabotage Harry by putting on hoods and pretending to be Dementors. In the thrill of trying to catch the snitch, Harry did the Patronus Charm and something enormous came out, although he couldn't see what it was at the time. Later, and close to the end of Book 3, Harry is chasing Sirius to try and help him. Harry and Hermione are surrounded by 100 Dementors, and Harry tries to use the Patronus Charm and is unsuccessful. However, from across the lake, Harry sees someone familiar, and that person creates a powerful Patronus in the shape of a stag, chases down the Dementors and saves Harry. As he faints, Harry catches a glimpse of the face of the caster, and he sees what it looks like his father. Harry gets emotional thinking that his father had just saved his life, and wonders how it could have happened because he knew his father to be dead. Later, when Harry and Hermione go back in time to save Sirius, Harry hurries back to the place where he saw his father make the Patronus. He sees himself, Hermione, and Sirius being attacked by the 100 Dementors across the lake, and he waits for his father to appear. When the Dementors are very close to killing him, he understands suddenly. He comes out of hiding and yells with all of his might, Expecto Patronum. And for the first time, he sees a massive silver stag charge across the lake into the Dementors. They scatter, and with this incredible act, he saves all of their lives. Harry had not seen his father after all, but himself, because they look so alike. Then he understands something important, as the stag is returning to him. All of his father's friends were Animagi, meaning that they could transform themselves into animals at will. All of them had a nickname related to the animal that they transformed into. For example, Sirius was Patfoot because he transformed into a dog. Peter was Wormtail because he transformed into a rat. And Lupin was Moony, who was a werewolf that transformed at the full moon. And James, Harry's father, was Prongs. And as the stag bends his head, Harry sees the spikes from the antlers and thinks, could his father have transformed into a stag when he was alive? Later, when Lupin leaves the school and says goodbye to Harry, he confirms this. Yes, your father was always a stag when he transformed, he said. You guessed right. That's why we called him Prongs. As Lupin leaves and says goodbye, Dumbledore appears and has what I believe to be one of the best dialogues in the entire series, and honestly, my personal favorite. It was stupid thinking it was him, he muttered. I mean, I knew he was dead. You think the dead we loved ever truly leave us? You think that we don't recall them more clearly than ever in times of great trouble? Your father is alive in you, Harry, and shows himself most plainly when you have need of him. How else could you produce that particular Patronus? Prongs wrote again last night. It took a moment for Harry to realize what Dumbledore had said. Last night, Sirius told me all about how they became Animagi, said Dumbledore smiling. An extraordinary achievement, not the least keeping it quiet from me. And then, I remembered the most unusual form your Patronus took when it charged Mr. Malfoy down at your Quidditch match against Ravenclaw. You know, Harry, in a way, you did see your father last night. You found him inside yourself. And Dumbledore left the office, leaving Harry to his very confused thoughts. Harry's Patronus is a stag because his father was a stag. When Harry is in danger of Dementors, metaphorically, it is his father that charges them down to protect his son. And this is probably the most interesting thing about Patronuses. They aren't just random animals or spells, they are reflections of the soul and are deeply connected to a person's feelings and personality, but mostly to love and those that they lost. It is for this reason that Snape's Patronus is a doe, as Lily, Harry's mother, with whom Snape had been in love with for all of his life, had a doe Patronus, which is beautiful, as the doe is the wife of the stag, symbolizing the connection and love between Harry's parents. But as Snape was deeply in love with Lily and felt immense regret and personal responsibility for her death, his Patronus changed to mimic hers. The same thing happened to Tonks in Book 6 when she fell in love with Lupin. He loved her back, but being a werewolf, didn't want to marry her out of fear of hurting her. Because of this, Tonks' broken heart changed her Patronus into a werewolf. Another special moment was when Harry saw Snape's doe Patronus in the Forest of Dean in Book 7, and felt inexplicable trust and familiarity with it, even though he had never seen a Patronus before. Despite his head telling him it could be a trap, overwhelming instinct told him to trust and follow the doe, which led him to the sword. Meaning that somewhere in his soul, Harry recognized his mother in the Patronus and knew he could trust it. Other characters' Patronuses are less to do with love and more symbols of their personalities, so here's a list of every character's Patronus that we know of in the books. Hermione's Patronus is an otter, which is a symbol of Hermione's loyalty and nurturing personality. Ron's Patronus is the Jack Russell Terrier, representing loyalty and courage. Mr. Weasley's Patronus is a weasel, which I think is just a symbol of the family's name. Luna Lovegood's Patronus is a hare, symbolizing her quick, quirky, and kind nature. Cho Chang is a swan, signifying beauty and grace. Minerva McGonagall's Patronus is a cat, symbolic of her sharp mind and dignity. Dumbledore's Patronus is confirmed to be a phoenix, representing hope and power. Aberforth's Patronus is a goat, which symbolizes his tough and rough nature. Kingsley Shacklebolt's is a lynx, which represents his lethality and poise. It is believed, though we never see them casting it, that Sirius Black's and James Potter's Patronuses are the same as their animal forms. Sirius being a large dog, representing his rebellious and loyal character, and James Potter a stag, representing leadership and protection. I believe, though it isn't clearly stated in the books, that one cannot choose the animal form he transforms into, and that your animal form and your Patronus are the same. Besides that, it is interesting to point out that Death Eaters and Voldemort himself, curiously, are never seen making Patronuses, except for Snape. Which perhaps means that they can't because their hearts are too full of hate and malice, and their souls too damaged to produce magic so pure. They don't hold happiness and love in their hearts, and therefore it is impossible for Patronuses to form because they are good and happy feelings made physical. Harry uses his Patronus many times in the series as well, including in the third task of the Triwizard Tournament in Book 4, when he casts it against the boggart by mistake, many times in Book 7, especially when Harry, Ron and Hermione broke into the Ministry to find the lock at Horcrux, in Book 5, when Harry uses it to save his cousin Dudley's life and is taken to trial because of it. But my favorite moment has to be when Harry is doing his practical ordinary wizarding level exam in Defense Against the Dark Arts in his 5th year, and the examiner asks for a Patronus for a bonus point, and the memory Harry chooses is imagining Professor Umbridge being fired. Later in the books, the Patronus gains extra powers we didn't know about. The users can use their Patronuses to send messages to people they know. Kingsley uses this to warn the wedding guests that the Ministry had fallen. Mr. Weasley uses it to tell Harry the family was safe, and Professor McGonagall casts 3 cat Patronuses at once to warn the heads of house when Harry enters the castle in Book 7. So that is literally everything we know about Patronuses explained. I really tried my best to not forget anything important or relevant, so I really hope you enjoyed this video. So, we are the World of Stories, and we are on a mission to tell the world's best stories, so if you want to know more about Harry Potter and so much more, I just want to give you guys a quick thank you for liking and subscribing. Thank you guys so much for watching, and sweet dreams.